Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. How are you today? Today I'm back with two stories, so buckle up because they are long ones. The first one is about OP's husband who refused to spend his parents' inheritance because he wants to respect their money. Enjoy the stories, guys, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. My husband, Josh's parents died within a month of each other. Both were in their mid-late 80s. Josh is a second marriage child who came late in their lives. All his half-siblings have predeceased the parents. They both lived in assisted living, and both were quite ill, so this isn't a surprise. Josh always assumed that when they passed, he would get a huge bill from the facility, and that he wouldn't get anything from them except his dad's classic Mustang. Well, after all was settled, the amount of the estate and a long-held life insurance policy was staggering. It's enough money that if we were smart, we would never have to work again. It's so surprising because before going into assisted living, they lived in an ancient house and never were flashy. After having time to let it sink in and review all the paperwork, Josh is realizing that because he came so late in his parents' life, he really didn't know much about them and how much money they had and where it came from. He had no idea his dad owned an oil services company in North Louisiana during all the oil booms, and that his mom had been the CFO of the company. They also owned a small advertising agency and had really amazing contacts in finance and government. In a knick-knack box, we found a picture of his dad playing golf with Robert and Ted Kennedy as an example. He lived a very normal, almost lower middle-class life. This is where our problem is arising. Josh seems to have taken this idea that the money is somehow his only legacy of parents that he never really knew. He is thus far refusing to touch any of the money. We really need to spend some of this money. Our business had a terrible couple of years, and I've basically been working for free. We had to put several months of our employees' wages on a credit card, and that interest is eating us alive, even in good months. We live in a pretty bad neighborhood, and our kids' school is even worse. We always scramble for decent babysitters, most of whom do half the job I could if I stayed home. I would love to move, but our house needs a ton to even think about putting it on the market. Josh and I are constantly stressed and fight all the time about everything from dishes to jobs we should bid for. I felt like I've been very patient, but it's very frustrating to have this gift fall in our laps and not use at least part of it to eliminate all of this stress we are under. 10% of the total of his parents' estate could eliminate all of our money problems overnight, and he'd have plenty left over. 50% would mean we could live a life of pure leisure and still have plenty left over. I'm not saying I want that, but it's getting harder and harder to keep working my fingers to the bone for no money and not resent Josh for his views. Since we fight all the time anyways, how do I even broach this with him? OP needs to back off for a while. If the money is enough that they may never have to work again, it's enough that OP can wait a while, and it can still bail them out of any trouble they're having now. OP needs to give her husband time to learn about his parents and heal, and come to grips with all of the changes and potential changes. They've only been gone a few months. Their situation was what it was before they passed. They can deal with it for a while longer. Also, perhaps OP's husband doesn't think the business is worth investing in. Perhaps those two need to seek some financial counseling so they can invest and protect this windfall in a way that guarantees they'll have it when they need it. Maybe it's time to fold the business and find a job that actually pays. These are hard decisions to make, and they need to start making them, with or without the estate money. Edit. Josh and I just had another fight. Well, him calling me a stupid bee for something minor. This has been a horrendous day, and I'm quitting. As soon as I save this, I'm walking out of this place and never coming back. He can divorce me. He can keep his money. I've been killing myself to keep this afloat for nothing in return for far too long. I miss my kids. I don't ever feel like I see them, and I feel like they suffer because we are bailing a sinking ship. He can leave me, shutter the business, go to a strip club, and spend all his ducking money. I don't care anymore. I'm not a vulture. I'm not a gold digger. I am a person who has been struggling for a long time and thought that there was life at the end of the tunnel. Meanwhile, he wouldn't go to therapy, see a financial advisor, or do anything to let me know this would end at any time. For those of you who legitimately tried to help, thank you. For those of you who called me more names, it didn't hurt. I've had my husband call me every name in the book for 2 years, while I was trying to keep his dreams afloat for literally nothing in return. Peace. Instead of storming out, I just sent him the following email, to which he hasn't responded yet. Josh, I'm sorry about the gas card, but no matter what, I do not deserve to be called names like that. It's even more cutting because X heard you say it, and I, like you, am an owner of this company and need to be respected by our employees. That being said, you can consider this my official 2 weeks' notice. I will put my full effort into finding and training a suitable replacement, and I will work with accountant to find ways to free up money in order to pay a decent starting wage for whomever you choose to hire. Now, with that on the table, if you ever speak to me like you just did again, I will walk immediately. I've worked too hard and sacrificed too much to be insulted over something so minor. As you probably heard, Y was able to turn around, get the gas card, and still be early to the site. I am taking some well-deserved personal time this afternoon and going to pick the kids up from school, but I will be right here, bright and early tomorrow, to start the search for my replacement. As for you and I, we have lots we need to think about. I am not doing it tonight because I need a break. Y's crew is staying at the Garden Inn. I made an extra reservation for you, so you may join them and give me a night to think. You are more than welcome to come over in the morning and see the kids if you feel like driving that far. Regardless of what I come up with tonight, you and I must seek some sort of counseling, emotional, financial, probably both, if we are to continue as a couple. I do love you and want things to work out between us, but I have been unhappy for a very long time. I hope you want that as much as I do. Love, Jill. So, my sister lives in a house literally next door to our parents. I live in a large city about 45 minutes away from their suburban city. My sister has 2 kids, 8 female and 5 male, and was a military wife but was widowed. He got in a car accident, not killed in action. She has gone back to school and gotten a degree in IT and is very good with computers, tech, math, so that makes sense. Unfortunately, there aren't really jobs where she is anymore, not many. So she is having to look in the big city where I am. Well, she got a job, but she doesn't want to move her kid out until the end of the school year at least, to make sure the job works out and also make it smoother for her kids. So she devised this plan to stay with me during the week in the city and let our parents watch the kids during the week. My parents are thrilled. Being grandparents is their favorite thing ever, and they love taking care of the kids, and I'm okay with it. Except, my sister is the worst house guest ever. Here are some issues. 1. My husband and I are child-free, and I'm the older sister. So it's clear we're not having kids. We also made it clear when this arrangement was made that we didn't want her kids staying overnight in our home. They never have, and it's not a home for kids. Instead of keeping the normal routine for her winter break, since she still had to work one of the 2 weeks the kids were off, she tried to bring her kids here for a full week. She just arrived with the kids, so they had to stay the night. And she threw a fit when we told her this could not stand for the week. She bad-talked us to my parents and her kids over it, and complained endlessly about how heartless we were to keep her away from her kids. She also, previous to this, had her daughter over several times when her daughter was sick, and one time, since it was a day my husband was off, she even wanted to go to work still and have him watch her while she was homesick. He refused and went out for the day, but that was ridiculous. She also asked me to stay home with the kid since she was new at her job, but I'm not sure why my niece needed to be dragged into the city sick. Why not just leave her with my parents? They're still relatively young, spry, and having no issues taking care of the kids. So why would a time when the child is sick be appropriate to bring her in? Another weekend, with approval, when the kids had a Monday off, and so did I. She had the kids stay Saturday, Sunday night, and I took them to the zoo for the day on Monday while my sister was at work. We don't hate her kids. We just feel she uses them to cross boundaries. 2. She is really messy. I mean, her own house was always beautiful, so I don't get it. But she has literally not bothered to wash a single dish she's used. Start the dishwasher. And she throws her laundry in with mine, even though my husband and I don't even have common laundry. Finally, I bought her a laundry bin of her own and she started using it, but she's always asking me to do her laundry for her. I did it a few times, but now I just refuse. It's constant, and she hasn't participated in house cleanup since she moved in. She will sometimes cook for herself, but she leaves a huge mess in the kitchen. Even worse, leaving scrambled eggs or beef fat and such on the pans. We're vegan, but we're not rude about it. She can have and cook meat, eggs, etc. in the house, but I can't stand the sight of her dishes sometimes with all these meat products in them. 3. She's loud in the mornings. Both my husband and I have more flexible jobs and sleep till 8 or 9, but she gets up at 5:30 a.m. and as soon as she's out of the shower, goes straight to the living room, blares the TV, makes breakfast loudly, often the egg pans, and wakes us up. Not every day, but often. We've talked to her about it. She apologizes, but lately she just says, "Well, maybe you should wear earplugs if you sleep so light," etc. She doesn't have a TV in her room, but she has an iPad she could watch on. Or we have headphones set up to our TV that we use late at night, so as to not wake neighbors, her, which she could easily use. I really feel ready to kick her out after just a few months, and I don't know how to make it to summer when the kids get out of school, honestly. I also don't really see why she hasn't started showing her house, since her job is going well, and she has started mentioning that we have an extra room. It's a game room, not an extra room, that the kids could stay in, etc. I always laugh her off or seriously shoot her down. But now she's clearly saying it to my parents, because they are bringing it up too. Honestly, I don't want to let her stay now, let alone lengthen the stay. This is ridiculous. But my mother seemed very insistent I let her and the kids move in with me in the summer. I am not going to, but I would like this not to become giant family drama. I am already the black sheep of the family, as both my sister and my brother, across country, have kids, and my parents always wanted us all to have big families. They think my husband and I are kind of defective, that we don't want children. They love me, but they don't really like me, it feels like sometimes. They also hate that I'm vegan, even though I try really hard never to be rude about it. Basically, we're already the weirdos of the family. The answer should be no, you can't stay with us, sis. OP's house, OP's rules. She will trample OP's household. The family drama will be there no matter what OP does. OP needs to be clear that she is not welcome to come and live in OP's home with her children. OP needs to be clear, not waffle and wussy with her. So I sat down with my father before talking to my sister because I felt my mom was being very pushy about the whole situation. My father mentioned that my mom was just very worried about my sister because apparently she'd fallen apart worse than any of the rest of us had seen after her husband died. She seemed to be seeing a therapist, raising her kids, going to school, getting a job, getting her license, keeping it together, but apparently the messiness and laying about had already started in her own house, and my mom had been cleaning up after her, etc. Since my sister had always been an amazing housewife, kept a beautiful house, this really startled my mother. Apparently, they went in her house after not going in there for a month, because she always went over to theirs. And it looked like an episode of Hoarders with roaches and all kinds of problems. No one ever told me. Clearly, this issue was very deep in my sister, and her psyche was somehow embedded in the dishes and laundry issue. But I didn't think continuing to enable her was really helping her anyway. So I still sat down and gave her some clear house rules, in writing, with consequences. I told her there was no way to extend her stay to bring the kids here, and talked to her about potentially commuting if she decided she could, since many people asked why she didn't. She does have a driving phobia, but it's clearly improving. I told her I support her and will always be here for her, but some kinds of behavior are just not okay, no matter how much pain she's in. We had what I'd consider a good talk. She agreed to all the rules about cleanliness. The past few days, she has been much neater and quieter, but of course, it's too short a time to tell much of anything major. I hope things will improve for her. She is not sure she can commute back and forth, but doesn't want to sell the house in case she can. So that was part of wanting to extend her stay, not have to make a decision. I pointed out June is far away, so we can make the decision of whether to rent, sell the house in April or May, since she has money saved anyway, and our parents can help her rent it out. They literally rent out houses for a living. I will continue to help and support her with this, and she's going to try to commute home a few days a week if she feels up to it to tackle her phobia and see her kids more. I just wanted to leave an update about the situation and to thank you because the thread gave me some great ideas. Talk to my dad, why wasn't she commuting, etc., and really helped me find my words.